in your sales process, when you were a contractor, would you preemptively discuss the potential of a change order taking place? Think about how much time, energy, and effort, if they didn't get that price, that your sales team would have had to put into going to an opportunity that was fucking dead the entire time.
They're basically pre-qualifying all their customers to say, if that price looks like something that you're willing to pay, sounds good, we'll book an appointment and send you out there.
So, you got this big fucking smile on your face.
Always. I'm always smiling. That's why. Yeah, always. I'm smiling because you finally invited me to do some content. That's why I'm smiling. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. About that smile, I said at SRC when we got trapped for like 5 days in an ice storm, because that's what happens when I travel. Shitty weather follows me. It's the life of a Buffalo New Yorker. I said that, that smile, I don't know if you're happy to see me, if you want to stab me. It's a very good poker face, and I admire your ability to disguise your emotions, so I'll play it, sir. It's great to have you on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. What do you call an angry carrot?
A mad vegetable?
Steamed veggie.
All right. Got it. Close.
Okay. That one didn't land with you. It's okay.
No.
You can't win them all, folks. If there's a lesson learned today... If there's a lesson learned today, it's that Travis is kind of a jerk and won't give you even a pity laugh, and that not all your jokes will land, so it's fine. Yeah. So what's new? How are you? Bring me up to speed. We haven't spoken in it's about a month and a half.
Yeah. Well, yeah. When was the last time I saw you? What was the last event I saw you at? Again, SRC was the last one. Yeah.
Yeah, it was 2 months ago,
wasn't it? January, February, something like that. In the middle of the winter, somewhere. Time flies when you're
Time flies.
For sure. Yeah. So, I've been traveling every week pretty much, or every other week for the most part. Been at some sort of event or show pretty much every other week. As you know, the conference season pretty much has came to an end, ended like the end of March, and then there's a couple of events happening over the summer or the spring, but summer events like the Atlas Tour and GF tours and OC things, things like that they're putting on for their contractors. Some of those smaller events are just one-day events that we go to, but mostly been traveling for the most part, just going out there and going to these things, talking to contractors and educating them on kind of what we're doing, and then kind of on the the sides of what we're working on. The biggest release that we just did was integrating financing into our platform, so that homeowners can now come into the platform and basically get pre-approved for financing. So that was one of the newest features we just released last month into our platform. So that was one of the more exciting things for us. Now when a customer can come to basically a contractor's website, they're now able to see a price, and then once they have a price, they're able to get pre-qualified for financing just like that with a couple of clicks. It's all pre-qual. Yeah.
Oh. So for those of you that don't know, one, I'm awful with intros. So this is Travis with Roofle. Explain, 30-second pitch, what exactly does Roofle do?
Roofle has the ability to embed technology onto your website. So we embed the technology onto your website, where then the homeowners can come to your website and then be able to get an instant price right there on your website. So they type in their address, they get an instant price on their roof. They can shop from 8 different products that you select, anything from specifically shingles or tile or even roof rejuvenation or tarping or repairs or whatever it is. You can be very specific as far as what you want to offer. And then from there, they can also get pre-qualified now on financing if they want as well. So it's all about essentially, top of funnel is really kind of what we're talking about as far as being able to bring contacts into your website. So if you're driving traffic and that traffic has an intent to come to your site to find something, this is another way to get that conversion, on your website, because that traffic is specifically looking for some sort of price. Maybe they're just shopping, maybe they want some sort of ballpark, or maybe they just want, to come there and say, hey, I have no idea what this is going to cost because I haven't done a roof in 25 years, and now I have an idea because I'm trying to budget or save or whatever. Or they're just like, hey, I don't want to deal with, talking to 25 contractors before I get a price, and now I can go ahead and get one right here. So that's what the technology does for contractors. So we saw so far.
Longer than 30 seconds, but that was a very well thought out and very well articulated explanation. So for that, I'm grateful. Yep. Let me play devil's advocate here. There's so many things that go into a roof price. How do we know if there's 5 layers on the roof or not? And how do you price that out from, Pawtucket, Rhode Island, and wherever your servers are located? How's this going to spit out an accurate price?
That's a great question. And so we get asked that all the time when we talk to contractors. So the way that our technology works is everything is based off of areas. So you're allowed to set a pin somewhere in an area. So we give you essentially pins or an MSA or a city. And from those pins, that's where you're able to set that price. So let's say you work in 25 different markets. You then take that assigned pin to that market that you work in, and then you're setting the products and prices based off of that market. So if you're at $5.50 a square in this market, a pin or whoever searches within that area is going to pull from that pin or that pricing in that area. So everything is very specific to areas of the country, because we do work with a lot of contractors that service 50 different markets that are larger contractors, and they have different prices for each market. They do have different products for each market. So you're able to set products and pricing based off of those markets. Now, when it comes down to multiple layers or things like that, currently, essentially what we're doing now is they start with essentially their base price. They say if it's a 1 layer up and over whatever as far as house, this is what the price is going to be. If you have an additional layer, the cost will be this. If you have decking, the cost will be this. Those are not things that we know until we actually come out to your house and inspect, or until we actually do the tear off or construction of the house. So you're making the homeowner aware that the price that you're seeing here includes these items, or these things are included in the price, and then these are things that could be potential things that would come up would be an additional cost that have not been put into the price currently. So that's how that they're able to lay those out to the homeowner, that they understand that there may be additional cost upon further inspection or upon actually doing the job. Because a lot of times, because I don't know if people know this, but I was a contractor for 12 years. So did a lot of roofs, thousands of them, to where there's many a times to where I sold a job and thought it was only 1 layer, but then we tore off the 1 layer and there was drip edge that was hiding the other layers. All of a sudden then we had 3 layers plus wood shake and all these things that you couldn't see because things were hidden or whatever. So a lot of times you really don't know everything about that project until you actually do construction, but at least you're giving them some sort of price or some sort of idea as far as what to expect to pay by being upfront and honest with them as far as showing like, here's what you can expect to pay.
So I got a question. So in your sales process, when you were a contractor, would you preemptively discuss the potential of a change order taking place with your customer, or would you wait till the time where it was manifested that, hey, now we got to talk because it's going to cost you $3,000 more?
Yeah, so typically every time that I would do a sales pitch is that I would say essentially that if there were any unforeseen things that would be additional to this, I would let them know that there would be, but I would do the best that I could upon my inspection to say there should not be any, because I'm pretty sure I caught everything, but there are some things that may come up, such as like rot on decking. Like we don't know when we tear this off, you could have some soft spots up there and we would have to replace those pieces. If we do, you can see here in my contract that we charge $50 a sheet for that replacement, for things like that. So essentially it's like, I'm letting you know that I'm pretty sure I got everything, but right here in our contract, it does state here, if there are additional items, here's what the cost is going to be ahead of time. So I'd always lay out to them that they would understand what that cost would be if it were to come up for those items.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. So it's similar to the way you'd position a change order, or the prospect of a change order to a customer in a sales pitch is what you guys are doing on the interface of the technology. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, the shit works, folks. I have clients that have Roofle. I have a lot of clients that have Roofer, Roof-R. Jury's out. However y'all say it. Richie, hit me up. Let me know how to pronounce it. We've used an instant quote technology that we developed, and I get a lot of pushback. It's like, it's our lowest conversion from the submission to a signed job. And for me, that's not a bad thing, right? Because instead of, if there's 20 opportunities that don't get back to you after they submit their information for the past 30 days, Think about how much time, energy, and effort, if they didn't get that price, that your sales team would have had to put into going to an opportunity that was fucking dead the entire time. Never intended to buy from you, just kicking tires. Everyone tells me, I don't want fucking tire kickers. So then don't get upset when people find ways to eradicate or at least mitigate the amount of tire kickers that you're going to have. Like, that's a tremendous asset and typically, I think, an overlooked aspect of this type of
Yeah, and especially, like, look at the hurricane that just happened in Florida. So that's where we saw that come into play a lot. So hurricane hits in Florida, have a lot of contractors down here in the Florida area working the hurricane. They're like, we're getting 700 calls a day. Like, how do we know who to go to, who not to go to, how to do this? They were sending everybody through, their website, because a lot of these claims here in Florida were not covered by insurance. So they had bad insurance, that they didn't have insurance at all. So essentially a lot of them became retail jobs. Like, now they have to come out of pocket lots of money and they have no idea what it costs. And essentially, instead of trying to figure out who to send my reps to, they're basically pre-qualifying all their customers to say, if that price looks like something that you're willing to pay, sounds good, we'll book an appointment and send you out there. So they're doing a lot of that pre-qualifications, probably similar to some hailstorms, similar to the hailstorms that recently just came through. They're getting hundreds of calls. They only have 5 reps, at the time. How do they know who to send to, who not to send to? They want to be able to get to the customers that they want to get to, who are the ones that are actually interested, rather than these tire kickers that are like, you're going to spend 10 hours of going to the house, inspecting, quoting, following up, for customers that had no intention at that time or could not even afford, to be able to buy the project. So again, it all depends on however you look at it and utilize it within your business, because again, there are, places to be able to utilize it and be more successful. And there's places to where, maybe it's not the best place to be using it for that type of customer. It's all about the intent of the traffic or the customer that you're trying to get.
Yeah, and also, guys, this type of technology isn't going to, bring you 1,000 more leads. So you got to bring traffic to the website in order for them to actually use the technology. Worth noting. So the other thing that we found, we've been using this type of similar technology as far as like the instant quoting and conditional logic. Like, if it's metal and you live here, we condition the price at 500 a square, whatever. And what I found is that the benefit of being able to be flexible based on the time of year and the demand for your services is huge, right? If you guys are booked out 2 months and it's like, you know what? The only way that we're going to book anymore is if we hit X margin. In order to get to that margin, we need to be at this price per square. So the rest can go somewhere else, right? There's nothing wrong with that at that time. It's supply and demand. So you raise your price. And then that would deter some people, right? It would be a repellent to those that are like, I don't want to pay X amount of dollars. But for the ones that do, you're being more profitable. And conversely, if you just need to get your reps in front of people, get them opportunities, whether they're newer reps and they need to get better at sales and they just need that exposure, that face-to-face interaction, or you just got a bunch of fucking savages where, they'll close at 60% on every call. If they go on 10 calls, they're closing 6 of them. All right, let's get them out in front of as many people as possible. So you put, the minimal viable price for a roof that you would install, like, don't be a jerk about it. You put that in there and it's like, okay, there's less sticker shock as a result of that, so you'll probably get more appointments. Now you can have the opportunity for your salespeople to do their salesmanship, right?
Yep. Yeah, we hear that all the time. Like, oh, this guy here typically closes at 80% on these leads. He's only at 20% on these leads, and it's like they're probably a different type of lead. They're a different type of person that you're going to see compared to the ones over here. So again, it's all about, as a company, if you're able to break a lot of these things down and understand as far as what reps should be going here, go doing this, where are these leads coming from, what type of lead that they are, is it a referral, or where do they come from? I mean, all those are very different. So as a company, and a lot of times we look at it and we say, okay, let's break it down by lead source, as far as how you do by lead source. I mean, there's so much that you can dive into on this to be able to look at all the different data. I mean, at the end of the day, most times the contractors they want more leads. That's what they say, but not every lead is treated the same. Like, every Angie lead or contacts can be different than any other lead that's out there, as far as the sales reps that are getting. So that's a deep conversation to get into, as far as what contractors should be doing and how they should be managing their business and looking at everything compared to what some of them are actually doing now. So and it comes down to documentation, right? If you want to try to understand what your lead cost is on Google, or, specifically through the Instant Quote or Angie, like, you have to have that shit documented. Somebody's got to be documenting that, whether it's at the inception of the initial contact, which
probably should be, whether it's if you're using things like UTM parameters and tracking through your different web assets, or if it's your sales rep, or if it's a culmination of all of that, you want to be able to, at the end of the year, plug in a few keystrokes and try to understand those things. And I'm going to put out a challenge. Anyone who has a rep that outside of repeats and referrals can close above 75%, I want them on the show.
Right? Yeah.
There's a big difference between a cold internet lead, right? No matter how high intent is on Google and things like that, there's a big difference between somebody going on Google and saying, I need a roofer. For me, that's the best intent and the highest likelihood that you're going to get a qualified opportunity, versus somebody who you already have, they know, like, and trust you. They already believe and have confidence in you based on, social proof. And you've done a roof for their dad. And it's like, okay, great, you close this 80%. I mean, it's your job to fuck up at that point, right? I mean, if you can't close it, you shouldn't be in sales. So that's my challenge. I'm eager for somebody to slide in the DMs because I want somebody on the show that can close cold leads at,
You know it's coming. You know it's coming. I'm going to see where it's coming. I close at 70%, and it's okay, let's go through your CRM and look at it. It's like, well, realistically, they're taking these leads and they're burying them into the CRM and putting it, labeling them as something else, as unqualified. They were unqualified, so they shouldn't go against my close rate. I can already see it coming.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That would be great content, and I'd be happy to go down that rabbit hole. But you have to be transparent. We're big on transparency around here, so there would have to be some semblance of transparency to where, you can back up with data, empirical data, that this is truly the case. And then you got to give me free rein to your CRM to make sure and vet that information. It'll be fun, I promise. And if you're wrong, you buy a new website.
Just gonna give me your login and password to your CRM and give me access to all your leads and data, and let me do my digging, and we'll figure that out. Yeah,
I'll get back to you. All right, so we covered Roofle. You were in construction, roofing specifically for 12 years, yeah?
Yeah. Yep.
Roofing restoration, okay. I mean, what else, dude? I say it all the time. I'm big on journeys. Like, cool, we're at this destination now, but how'd you get here? What else?
Yeah,
Tell me some cool shit.
So how I got here was, I graduated from college in 2009 in construction, and obviously there was nothing in construction at that time, right? There was just nothing going on, Yeah. It's
tough
something
time.
like, people talk a lot about backgrounds, right? And I'm one person where it's like, people, are you going to go to college or not? And there's a big battle right now between like, go to college, don't go to college, go in the trades, right? It's like that battle right now. You can make more in the trades, which I believe that you can. It just takes the right human. And unfortunately, right now, a lot of humans, the ones that I know that are coming up right now in high school, they're not exactly active. They're not exactly like go-getters. They're more about like being on their phones, not interacting with humans, and to be in business and to be in the trades, most times you have to interact with humans. Most times if you're going to be in the roofing space, unless you're actually doing the physical work or a plumber or electrician, you have to interact with humans. So I hope that they're out there, and I hope that they are, but I think it's just most people's nature just to go ahead and go to college. But, for me, it was kind of like, go to college, not go to college, what do you do? Well, obviously, chose the path to go and went for construction. Well, right one, wrong one, not really sure. But at the end of the day, everyone knows 2009 was a major recession. There was just not much happening in construction at that time. So that was when essentially I went into canvassing and door knocking. So here you go. You got a college kid and, out there canvassing and door knocking, which, people either they have it or they don't. You really got to be a people person. You got to get them on the door, and you got to hold a conversation and keep them open at the door. To keep it going. And then really from there, just kind of worked my way up within the organization from all the way from the bottom all the way up to the top, and held pretty much every position within the organization, from bottom all the way up to top. So I've pretty much learned all the aspects of construction, and I say roofing, but also restoration. There's siding, windows and doors and things like that, other things as well. But basically, and then do with residential remodeling, pretty much held every single position, hired, trained, managed all those different positions within the industry. So, which obviously has helped me, to this point, as far as now, just understanding everything about the industry, and even in insurance too, as well. Like even getting an adjuster's license, knowing like as far as Xactimate and how insurance works and things like that, which obviously comes into play now, as well. So just having that well-rounded background within the industry, but for the most part, pretty much been within the industry ever since I started. As far as in the workspace, has been in some sort of roofing / restoration. And then all of a sudden, boom, I'm in the software space. So you go from construction to software. Huh? And all of a sudden now you're going to be the software Google, and I'm not, let's just say, like, I'm just not the, most tech savvy person out there. I mean, I definitely can do it, but to all of a sudden then go from construction to software, it's a whole different world, but it's fun. It's different. It's a change. You go from dealing with, homeowners on a daily basis to now working with contractors, which is great because I love working with contractors because, again, I was one for a really long time. So I understand their pain points and everything that they go through within a business. And then all of a sudden we've now become consultants. So now we're consultants. So since we go in and we talk to contractors every single day and they're like, hey, this concept that you keep talking about is new and we don't really understand it. So can you come and consult us about how this whole thing is going to work and how how we can set up our business to make these things happen and all these things. Well, then it's from my past experience just running a successful construction company for so many years, you start to give them other tips and information about their business. And also now it's oh, I'm a consultant. I'm but it's weird because in this space, now you can go ahead and hire somebody to come into your business in this space and train you on how to run your business properly. 5 years ago, that didn't exist. You couldn't go out there and hire all these consultants that exist today. They weren't out there. I mean, now you can probably name 10 of them at the top of your head of people that you can hire from, sales to management to business development to all these things that if you have an issue within your business now, there's somebody out there that you can hire to come into your business and train you on how to do it well. So all of a sudden now roofers who used to be labeled as these old school guys, right? These rough roofing type guys are now these business savvy guys that are hiring consultants to come into their business to help grow their business and teach them things about their business. So yeah, it's been kind of an interesting, way, but I guess, for me, it's been helpful in the whole realm is because obviously, like I said, I've lived it for so many years and done it for so many years within that space and understand as far as, the different parts of growing a business and not just only from just sales reps or whatever, but even the financial part of it and the accounting part of it and all those things like that to where, being a part of that day in and day out, how important that is to know what your numbers are as a business so that as far as budgeting, setting budgets and things like that so that that when there's tough times of the year that you're going to be fine. It's not just worrying about what number shows up in your bank account. So all those different things that we get into when we're having a conversation about not only teaching about what's to come in the industry, number one, what's going to happen in the industry 5 years from now? What does the industry look like? What's going to be happening? Well, a couple things. We have these PE firms, these roll-ups happening day in and day out. I'm sure people have heard about them, right? There's just people coming in and buying up all these companies that are becoming large companies with a lot of money behind them. So what's going to happen? So there's that whole piece. Is there only going to be 25 roofing companies in America from 5 years from now, and everyone else is just going to be a couple mom and pop shops here and there? What exactly does that look like? Well, who knows, right? We'll see. We'll find out what happens with that. But then also you talk about technology. What's happening in the technology space, in the roofing with the whole advanced AI things that are happening, everything else out there. This space is kind of the one that's been kind of untouched, for so many years to where it's kind of still kind of in the ice ages, the old days, to where it hasn't really evolved as far as technology wise. And we're starting to see a lot of that come into our space now to where things are starting to really, advanced. And so that's why when we start talking about, what we did at Roofle.com, being able to sell e-commerce to homeowners online, people come to us and say, hey, how does this look? How does this work? Because we can see this as a wave of the future. We can see that a lot of the consumers that are going to be coming, these millennials, that essentially don't like humans. We know that. They don't like to interact with humans. They want to be on their phone. They'd rather be swiping than actually having a conversation with a homeowner or, a human. And so from there, they say, okay, well, what does it look like? And then we start talking about different things that we did and what we saw as far as, trends that they do, such as most of our business came in between 9 and midnight, so a lot of the times it was because the consumers were available during that time because they had to put the kids to bed or whatever it may be, that they were on the couch at the time to search then. Well, 9 to midnight, how many times do roofers go into homes when they're actually available during those times? It's just all about the convenience for the consumer. All those different things, as far as teaching these contractors on how to run their business better. When we go in and we talk to a contractor and I say, okay, when a lead comes in, how fast do you contact them? And we have a range from 3 seconds to 7 days and anywhere in between there. So then we start talking about, okay, well, what's that process look like? Some people are like, the lead comes in, I write it down on a sticky note, and I put it on my sales rep's desk. And I tell them to go to the house within 3 days to go talk to this person. Like, that's my process for a lead. I'm just like, all right. So then we're talking about,
at least there's a process.
At least there's a process. I give them credit, right? At least there's some sort of process in place. But then we start talking about speed to lead, which obviously is a big thing, because if a consumer is shopping for something, they want to get back. They just want a callback. I don't know if you've shopped for things online lately. I don't care if it's a kitchen remodel or whatever you're doing, but I've done it recently, and it's hard to get a callback these days. It is very hard to have somebody actually call you back to set an appointment.
Last thing I shopped for were a couple Lululemon t-shirts.
And I'm sure you just went ahead and bought those online without a human even involved, I would imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. And do I like people? Do I not like people? I don't know. Jury's out. Depends on what day you ask me. Did you play baseball?
No, I didn't play baseball. No. I mean, Little League. Little League.
Never played
yeah,
baseball.
Little League. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So I wasn't wrong. Perfect. So there's a lot to unpack within that. A lot of, you said 5-10 years ago, nowhere near as many consultants, and the ability to connect with people that can make an impact in your business it wasn't there, and it's gotten significantly easier. I will say, also be careful when you hire consultants and vet who you're going to work with, because for all the great folks that are out there, if we can name 10 really good ones, there's 1,000 really shitty ones that are, whether they're just not good and they're trying their best, or they're outright malevolent. So I'll put that disclaimer in there. I've seen it firsthand all too many times.
Yeah, and we've all heard about them.
And especially watch out for those marketing agencies.
They're the worst. They are the worst. They're the biggest ones you got to watch out for. Definitely. They're like the used car salesman, I guess. They're kind of compared to that or similar to. You have to watch out for.
Yeah. What can I do to get you in this car today? I'm gonna sell it right out from under you. Do you ever see the Badger marketing, the used car salesman for the Badger? What's the name of the company? They're out of Colorado. It was years back, but they had a whole marketing campaign around it was a car dealership, and they're like, we're not used car salesmen, but it was like a Badger and like a tweed coat, like suit coat. And he's like, he's just saying all the typical shit like I just said to customers when they come on the lot. Like, there's a woman that comes onto the lot, and he's like, all right, so here you go. This is your rear view mirror. This is where you're going to put your makeup on. And when your husband gets here, we'll talk about what's under the hood. And they created an entire marketing campaign around all the tendencies and kind of exaggerating some of them, obviously, of used car salespeople. And they were used car sales or car dealership. It was pretty freaking funny.
I actually lived in Colorado for 12 years, and I don't remember that commercial. So,
hold on one second. We're gonna do a live search here. Used car sales. Johnson Automotive. Yeah. So check it out. Just type in used car sales Badger, and you'll see it. And for all you watching, you're gonna love this. Take 30 seconds, and then make sure you comment below. Mash that like button. Okay, so you guys have kind of evolved into being a consultant. It's funny. I've kind of done the same thing. I've worked very closely with roofers for almost a decade, and you learn a lot of stuff when you actually take an interest in what your clients are doing and how their businesses ran and what's going on and what struggles they're facing and how you can help solve some of those issues, and how some of the things that you're solving relate to the other things that you're not solving, and trying to find that fit to make things better. And I'd went and done a sales training for one of my clients with his sales team, and one of my other clients was like, well, I don't mean to offend you, but what exactly qualifies you to go do a sales training? I was like, well, I used to sell a lot of shit. Before Ascend, I was a salesperson. I was a top salesperson at a big company. But, when you're, a lot of the times it's misses on the fundamentals, right? It's not earth-shattering shit when you look at somebody's company or you look at a sales process and it's like, there's so much work that needs to be done to fix this. A lot of times it's just the fundamentals. And it's like, dude, if you're boxing and you're missing the fundamentals, and when you throw a punch, you're not bringing your hand back to your face, and you get punched in the face, it's going to be a problem, right? You're probably going to get knocked out. And a lot of the times it's those small things. And some of the times it's more nuance and things like that. But I don't know. If you're selling a roof or you're selling Girl Scout cookies or websites, I mean, ultimately sales is sales, right? what people need, the desire, and your ability to articulate how important it is, and really, even if they don't know that they need it, your ability to show them that they need it and create that value that wasn't there. I mean, it's all the same, isn't it? Or is it not? Do you agree or disagree?
I do, but one of the biggest things that I see in a lot of construction companies or roofing companies or whatever, sales organizations, is they try to make their top salesman the sales manager. I see that so many times. It's one of the biggest blunders that they could possibly do in their business, because like he's good at sales, so he's going to train the rest of them on how to sell. And it's like most times they don't actually know like what his process is, because I bet you 90% of the time that guy's just selling referrals. Why? Because he's been at your company for 20 years and he knows everybody in the whole world that he gets. He doesn't even knock a door. He doesn't even take a lead. He just goes and sells referrals all day. He's like, let's make him the sales manager. It's like, that's a pretty hard process to train. That takes time. You're trying to, so it's, what I do a lot of times is if I'm going to promote someone, I'm looking at as far as have someone be a trainer, is I'm going to record or I'm going to watch how they sell, or I'm going to go through their process of however they sell to say, this person has a process in place that's actually trainable, to be able to take other people and say, here's what I do, instead of saying like, I don't know, I just go out there and sell, guys. Go ahead and just go sell. This is what I do. Just come and watch me. And it's much different to where if you were able to have a process in place where you can actually write it down and say, here's what I do, whether it's a 10-step or however that you do it, but you can say, this is essentially what I do, then you can train it. But a lot of times people just say, he's a good sales rep, so I'm going to make him the trainer. And it's like, he doesn't even have a process. He just goes out there and sells referrals all day long.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, and I couldn't agree more. And, also, like, a lot of those top salespeople, it's in their head. Like you said, there's not a process. And for most salespeople, in my experience, you need, like, a script. You need a baseline, a starting point, a framework for them to learn. And, like, the really good ones find really good ways based on their personality, their interactions with customers to tweak a lot of that shit into their own, and it becomes completely different, but much more effective than what most people would be able to do. But that's going to be a small percentage of people that can do that have that skill. Like, those are going to be your 20% that do the 80%, right? When it comes to sales. And then you're going to have a bunch of guys, maybe they do 800,000, maybe they do $1 million, and, the other guys at 3, it's like, it's okay that they're doing $1 million, but what are you doing to consistently try to make them better? Yeah, making your best sales guy at the sales. It's interesting. When I was in corporate America, I've worked a few jobs in corporate America. A lot of the times, the trainer, if you sent them out on a sales call, and I've been in other positions, not sales, where there was trainers, and they were really good at training, but if you, like I was in collections, if you put them on a phone with a customer, there's no fucking way. Theory and practice are two distinctly different things with vastly different outcomes, potentially, right? So everyone's like, theoretically, like, this guy can sit in a classroom and he could teach me anything. It sounds great. It sounds like he knows what he's talking about. Fucking throw him in the ring after talking about how to throw a hook, and the guy gets knocked out immediately, right? It's just like Bill Belichick can't go run that post corner. I'm sure he could show his receiver how to do it, though. Talk to him through it. Yeah,
it is.
It's interesting.
It is, yeah, because a lot of times you have great trainers who actually were salesmen at one time, and maybe they were not the best salesmen, but they were able to actually do it, and they were that middle of the road guy or whatever. But he had a great process that was trainable to where, yeah, maybe he's not going to train everybody to be a rock star, but he's going to train a lot of decent guys, and a few of those are going to become rock stars because they're going to take it to the next level beyond whatever he trained them at. So yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying, because I've seen plenty of those trainers where it's like they can train great, but you put them in that spot to actually go do it because maybe they haven't done it in a long time. Maybe they're so focused on with training that you put them in it and they're like, they didn't do so well. But they're able to train it fantastically because what they're training on is essentially most times is a process as far as teaching somebody and how to do something to start somewhere. Here's where you start and here's where you finish, or here's however you finish.
Yeah. What have you seen in your experience in being in the industry and working with folks in the industry? What are some of the biggest impediments to their opportunity to grow?
I mean, I would say a lot of things is really investing back in their business. I mean, a lot of times people need to put things back into their business. A lot of times, and again, it's changed a lot in the last couple of years. I think we're getting better at it. But back in the day, it was always new trucks, bigger wraps, better boats, more houses and things like that, instead of putting it back into your business and making your business better. But I think it's all about, having a sales process and keeping your guys. We look back years ago, and every year the roofers would have a new sales staff because they would all leave in the winter, and then you have to hire all new guys. So they never had any sort of foundation to build on. It was always new guys all the time. So if you're able to get a sales staff in there and able to build your company by putting things back in your company, like we're talking about, hiring people that are experts to come within their business so that they can actually come in and you can actually have a foundation of 4 guys, and the next year you have 8 guys, and the next year you have 12 guys, the next year you have 16 guys, because you've been able to keep those guys around because you're investing back into them. Not only that, but you're building a great culture within your organization. If you have great culture, people will want to come work for you. I mean, there's so many times you look at social media now and people are influencers on social media doing all these things. People are going to say, I want to go work for them because they have fun. Like, I may not make as much money over there, but they have a lot of fun. And I'll tell you what, when you can show up to work every day because you have a lot of fun and you enjoy the people that you work with, I compare it a lot to, remember back in high school, right? So if you actually went to high school someday, sometimes you wouldn't go or sometimes you would go, right? But if you went to high school, you went there to do what? Hang out with your buddies. That's why you went there, is because your buddies were there, right? So you treat work a lot like that, to where like you want to go to work because you want to go see your friends, right? You want to go hang out with your friends. You want to go have a good time. So if you can build up like that great culture, and so that you want to keep people around, that's how you're going to be able to grow and scale, as far as an organization. And the same thing with sales reps. You have to invest in yourself. Like, when I came into software, like, I didn't know anything about software. Like, I was a roofer. Like, I didn't know anything about it. How do you know about it? How do you know what to do? You have to train yourself. You have to invest in yourself to learn. You have to go read. You have to go, if there's great podcasts out there or things, to go listen to or go read, you have to invest into yourself. You're never going to grow if you don't invest into yourself. You have to make yourself better. So if you're consistently $1 million sales rep, and so you just can't get yourself over that hump, but what's going to make you do better? What do you need that's going to make you do better? Is it more self-generation? Is it more cold calling? You're not getting enough leads or whatever it is. You have to look at it and then be able to make yourself better. And if you're not doing well because your closing rate's lower, well, go out there and there's plenty of things out there now that you can do to make yourself better. I think a lot of people just get so reliant on the company needs to help me, other people needs to help me. They're quick to blame other things instead of looking at themselves and say, there's so many resources out there now that you can go to invest in yourself and to make yourself better. Because I'll tell you what, if you can go out there and read books and you learn things from these books and you can implement them every single day within your life, and I don't care if it's work or it's personal or whatever it is, it's going to make your mind better to where you're going to be better. Because if you show up to an appointment and your mind is clear, your mind is good, you're positive, you love yourself, and you have that great positivity as you go into there, you're just going to naturally start to close better because you feel that much better about yourself and you're growing as a person. That's kind of a 2-part question. It was business and personal, but anyway.
So go watch Eat, Pray, Love. No, I'm kidding. That was good. I like that. And I agree with that as well. I've recently done some shit where, I've been doing like the sauna before and after my workouts, and I take a cold shower afterwards. I feel fucking great. I equate it to like a hard reset of my phone or computer, right? Like my mind and body is like, you get in the shower, and it's not great when you're doing it. It's like, fuck. But afterwards, I get out, I get dressed, I'm like, God damn, I feel great. And like now you're ready to slay the day. That's it.
Let's talk about ice baths real quick. This is a trend right now. So hold on. I remember years ago, wasn't it like the ice bucket challenge? You remember that? Was that back in COVID? Was that?
Yeah. Like the ALS. That was like 2014.
Was that long ago? Oh boy, time flies. But anyway, so there was the ice bucket challenge, right? And then now there's like these ice baths. Everyone's jumping into frozen lakes. They're taking cold showers, and then they're doing saunas, and things like that, right? Like that's kind of like the trend, right? So something that I've not been able to get myself onto is something like that. So I hate the cold. So I moved to Florida to get away from the cold. So now it's warm all the time here, right? Yeah. So the ice bath mindset is about, from what I understand, is basically resetting your mind, kind of waking you up for the day, right? You have the sauna, the ice bath, type of thing. Is that really what it's all about as far as that?
Yeah, so for me, I do the sauna because I feel great when I do it. So specifically, I do it before my workouts because I feel tight as shit as I get older, right? Especially like if I'm going to go hit the heavy bag, my shoulders are tight and I'm like, and I got to stretch for 15 minutes, whatever. So it's like when I go in the sauna, and I'm in Buffalo, so it's cold as shit, right? I get in my car, I drive to the gym, and it's like, okay, I go in the sauna, and now I stretch as I'm sitting in the sauna, and I get deeper in the stretches, so there's more benefit. I feel. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor, but I feel as if the warmer your muscles are, the deeper in the stretches you can go, the better it's going to be as far as you being limber and ready for that workout. And then afterwards, just to decompress in there, I feel great. And it almost makes me feel like I've done more because you're sweating more, right? You feel more accomplished. It's like a secondary
thing,
benefit,
right? You think you worked harder.
Yeah, exactly. You're tricking yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. Like, and people talk about placebo effects. Who gives a fuck? If it makes an impact on you, whether it was a placebo or is a real impact, who cares? Slay. So now you go into the cold shower, and it's I don't know. And Dimitri called me a woman because I didn't do an ice bath. I did a cold shower. Whatevs. But I'll tell you what, when I go into the cold shower, like you're like an infant that gets wind in their face. You blow wind in an infant's face, and what do? Right? Like that's what when I go in there and it hits my back, I'm like, and there's something about it. There's something about it where it's like, it's going to suck, and I'm okay with it sucking, but it's only going to be a couple minutes, and it's fine. And it's like that one thing. Like, I was listening to Rogan. He's like, you can't defeat it, right? Like if you go into an ice bath, right, and you stay there for too long, like, I think you die, right? Like you can only do so long in an ice bath before it's like becomes unhealthy. So for somebody who's competitive and like the challenge of doing that and just getting like wildly uncomfortable, I try to do that in every other instance of my life to try to grow. So why would I not do it when in the situation of a sauna and an ice shower or a cold shower? Like, well, why not?
Yeah.
I don't like the cold either. We're gonna have a house down in Tampa that we retreat to from February to May every year because I've had enough. I'm done with the blizzards in Buffalo.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
Yeah. You won't be too far from me, right?
It's like an hour and a half. Yeah. Yeah.
Meet you halfway. We'll go to like Panera or Qdoba.
It's so fun.
Grab some lunch.
It's so funny because everyone's
fancy.
like, Florida. It's like, but Florida's huge. I mean, it's so long, right, and skinny. And there's so many major towns. Yeah. People are like, I'm going to Orlando. I'm like, gonna be right next to you. I'm like, it's like a 2-hour drive. But like, yeah, it's not too far. I mean,
yeah.
It's not that far, but.
Fresh Kitchen is my favorite restaurant in the world.
Have not.
Have you had it? Oh.
Yeah.
Shame on you, sir. Next time you're in Tampa or Orlando, I know they have them all over there. So
I'll have to look them up.
So good. When I was down at the roofing process, I went with Eric Reno. We went to Fresh Kitchen for some lunch. I found it on accident. Guess how I found it, guys? I was at a hotel somewhere. I had no fucking idea where I was, right? I was new to the area, and I Googled food near me. Bing! I find this little thing. I look at the reviews. I'm like, oh, fantastic. They can be trusted. Went there. Chef's kiss. It was amazing. Google works. Sorry. I'm a little excited about the Google sometimes. Let me ask you. I'm going to ask you some tough questions, and I want you to be honest. I don't want any pushback. Thus far, what is your favorite event that you've attended? As it relates to
my favorite event. Yeah, I mean,
and
that's
why?
Two different ways you can answer that. Favorite, you mean like my personal favorite because it was fun, or my favorite because like there was just so many people, or it was just, I mean, fun is different aspects, but I'd say like the best one was probably the one that I just went to was the Atlas one. It was at the Minneapolis, it was at the US Bank Stadium, and I'm a massive Vikings fan, which again, that Vikings-Bills game, ooh, man, that was, I think
okay.
I think I still have some gray hairs from that game. That was an intense game. But yeah,
you got gray hair.
Yeah.
I have hypertension.
Yeah. So
that's fine.
it was at the Minneapolis, or it was at the US Bank Stadium, is where it was held. So we got to like basically do everything right there on the field, at the stadium, which is pretty awesome event. I mean, there wasn't a ton of contractors, like 200 and some contractors that were at the event, but it was just very different of an event to go to because it was just total different perspectives, because again, there's events and then there's like conferences that are like straight conferences, to go to. I think the one that Atlas was just very different to be at a stadium like that and have access to basically the full stadium, go in the locker rooms and things like that, to where it's like, you're there. And, for me being a big Vikings fan, it was probably much better, than maybe for some other people because, I'm just a big fan. But outside of that, I mean, I think it's it's just a different feel, altogether. Because again, I've been doing so many events, and they've been so many conferences where it's speakers and keynotes and just 3 days of events. When you're a vendor, I mean, there's keynotes, there's setup, there's takedown, there's talking for 12 hours a day. I mean, it's fun, but it's a different type of fun, that you're having. Because I love talking to people. It's exhausting. And then if you're doing it back to back, it's exhausting. Like in March we had 4 events in March, and it was all month long. It was back to back to back to back. I mean, I only slept in my own bed for 2 days that whole month. Like 2 days, the whole month out of 31 days, because there was just so many events, and it gets exhausting. So I think for me, as far as fun, my favorite, was definitely those. And there's a couple more that are coming up here that are going to be pretty cool at different stadiums that I've never been to before. That'll be pretty cool as well. So it's different, a different type of feel, different type of vibe. Yeah.
Nice. How do you feel about, I see all these people. Dude, I get it. We're marketing agencies. Everyone hates us, whatever. But I see a lot of people like that like to demonize. I made a post about this on social media. And then I look at it and, I wonder to myself sometimes, I don't see the same level of scrutiny for some other folks that are in the game, whether it's, people selling courses, coaching, consulting, and I'm like, I feel like somebody's had to have bad experiences here. Why do you feel like there's a disproportionately high scrutiny? Do you feel there is towards marketing agencies, and why is that?
I mean, I think there definitely is, and I think it's becoming something because marketing agencies, you can measure them. The metrics are there. And I think that a lot of marketing agencies come up there and they hype a lot of things up, and they say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do all these things, we're going to do all these great things. Then it comes down to it. Then they can say, we didn't see any of those things that you said that you were going to do. And then they can also go back and track all those things, to where it's like when you hire other consultants, such as like sales or whatever, it's like there's so many other factors that are involved. Like, did you have the right salespeople in that class? And there's just so many other things, within the organization where things can change. Where I think it's just that marketing, number one, it's kind of like the forefront right now as far as everyone that's looking at, because everyone wants more leads. Everyone wants more leads. They want more appointments is really what it comes down to. And I think that unfortunately, or possibly fortunately for a lot of good marketing companies out there, that they pitch them and they're truthful with them as far as what to expect and what they're going to see and how much time it's going to take to build this thing up. And then they actually show the results. And people say, I see great results. Where there's other ones out there who pitch a big game, don't give realistic expectations when they go out there and say, hey, to change your website around, to have all this SEO, crazy machine that's going to get all this organic traffic, it's going to take you 6 months to a year or 2 years. And they're looking at 2 to 3 months, and then they get a bad rap. So I think it's, I think it's one of those things out there to where the consultant part of it is just not there yet. I think it's so very, I'd say, new, to where they haven't been able to measure or have the metrics in place to be able to measure it. So I think that's where you kind of get the view. And I mean, we hear it, all the time. I hear it all the time. It's like, hired a marketing agency, they said they were going to do all this stuff. They spent thousands of dollars on SEM, and I saw 5 things of return. And it's like, well, there's so many things to unpack with that statement that I'll just leave it at that. Like, because there's so many things that you can dive into. Yep. It's like where they spend the money, where were the pages, where they drive the traffic. Like, did you work with them? Did you tell them how you? There's so many things that go into it where it's just like, as a contractor, you can't just say, here's $50,000, just go spend it wherever you want to, and have no involvement. And then at the end, come back and say, come back and say, you spent $50,000 and you got me 5 leads, you're fired. This person sucks. I think there's so many things that go into that statement, but ultimately that's really how I feel as far as why that exists.
Interesting. Yeah, there is a lot that goes into that. I agree. I'll agree with that, sir. Well, what's your favorite and least favorite thing about the industry?
My favorite thing about the industry is that, it's one of those industries that it's a lot of fun. This has got to be one of the most fun industries out there. It's got to be. We have a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun. We do. At the shows we go to, I think that there's great vendors out there. There's great people in the industry, that get along. Whether they're competitors or not, they all get along and they all like to have fun. I think it's just one of those industries to where it's different. It's almost like it used to be the Wild West, to where you'd go to some of these conferences and you'd be like, wow. This is a conference and I see that there, like, this is crazy. But it's starting to become more professional. It's becoming on a more professional level with a lot of these organizations to where, it's becoming that way. Definitely. But I think the least, part about it is number one, you can make a lot of money. We all know, right? In the roofing industry, you can make a lot of money. And I think that,
that's your least favorite part
let's say it this way, is that people like to say that they get screwed a lot. And I think that there's always two sides of the story. People want to, badmouth people all the time. They want to badmouth, the people that they work for or whatever and say all these things without putting the true story out there behind it. Because, again, if there's potential for money involved, then people want to go out there and they want to say bad things about other companies or or worse people. It's just like, why can't we all just get along? Why do we have to go into this whole post on social media, cause this big ruckus as far as all these things that are happening? It's just like, why can't we just go about our day? Why do we have to do this? Because most other industries, you don't hear about that stuff. Those things don't really come up as much, right? So I think that's the thing. And I think obviously social media plays a big part in those things. But it's the noise. Sometimes it's just the noise, I guess I would say, is the bad thing. And again, I started with the whole money thing is because when there's a lot of money involved, you draw in some questionable characters when there's money involved. And sometimes when those questionable characters get involved, they like to throw some things out there against other people that, are somewhat true, but not also true as well. So it does create a lot of noise in the industry.
Yeah, and I'll take that one step further and just say, in life in general, the ease of the transfer of information and the way we're able to communicate so quickly with so many people, it's had some negative unintended consequences. I think pretty significant ones too in our day-to-day lives. And the fucking toxicity on social media in general is just like, God damn. Can't we, let's be positive. Let's have a nice positive post here and there. But then you get into what folks post and, people's expectations based off what they see posting. I mean, I've got a daughter, and it's like you think about what the younger generation, what they idolize and what they see, and it's like, if I don't have this perfect image, what is that doing to our younger generations, self-esteem and all these things? And it's like, fuck, Travis.
Social media is
the root of,
I would say, a lot of evil. Not all evil, but a lot of evil. To where I think personally, social media has done a lot to society. Where, the younger generation look up to people so much, and they have to be perfect. Everything has to be perfect. Then also you have the negativity side out there, where people can post anything negative at any point in time, to where hundreds of thousands of people are going to see it, and then have that negative mindset because they posted something negative. It's just, it's one of those things to where sometimes you have to just shut off social media for a few days and say, I need a break, because it can bring you in for hours and waste hours of your time on something because of something maybe negative that was posted or whatever it may be, to where you've been consumed, where instead you could have been doing so many other things in your life that could have been doing much more things to improve yourself or whatever it may be. Instead, you're trapped in this social media thread of negativity that you just keep going back and back and back. So,
Yeah, and it's like, people pile on. It's easy to do, right? And there's that there's that aspect of lack of accountability for when things are posted on social media versus having a conversation when we're at a conference or when you're out with a group of people at a bar or whatever. It's like, you remove that accountability and things tend to unfold a bit differently, right? It's a very interesting, it's fascinating to me, and equally troubling.
That's exactly it. It's the accountability factor. Because would you have said the same thing to a group of that same 10 people in that group standing there face to face at a bar? Probably not. Because then you have to own it in person to what you said.
Right.
On social media, you can just slap it in a DM or slap it somewhere and just walk away from it and not have to answer to it. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you try to hold me accountable, I'll just block you. It's fine. Bye. That's fucking social media. What else?
Yeah.
You got questions for me? I have answers, not many.
Yeah. What have you been up to?
I'll do my best to answer any questions you got.
Anything fun?
Oh, man. Well, been working. I'm going on a cruise with my family this weekend through the Caribbean,
Nice.
the Caribbean. I don't know. Caribbean. I say Caribbean, but and then we're closing on that house, the aforementioned house,
Nice.
on May 1st. So I will be down there, getting things together.
Nice.
We're gonna Airbnb it during the off months that we're not there. So we were lucky to find a place that we wanted that didn't have like an HOA or lease restrictions, so that we can Airbnb it. And that afforded me the opportunity to say, you know what, this isn't a terrible investment. I'm going to do it. In theory, right? Last time I invested in a property, and there was a theory where it was going to cash flow like $3,000 a month. I had to evict the tenant, and then I put like $20,000 into refurbishing and renovating the apartment, and then squarely thereafter, we were doing finish work, and there was old electrical called knob and tube, and it started smoldering because it heated up on one of the rafters, and the fire department came and busted everything up and sprayed everything down, and that was a month before COVID, and then you couldn't get building permits in New York, and then or permits for the job or whatever, and it took 3 years. It took 3 years to get these 2 units. Yeah. So instead of cash flowing $30,000 a month, I was losing like $1,000 a month. So again, theory and practice, those are two different things, folks. If there's a takeaway from this, that's it. Okay. So hopefully this one works out better. Round 2, right? And then just hired a couple people here for Ascend, and I'm excited about their future here and getting them assimilated into our culture and our team. And what else?
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yeah, no big plans for the summer?
Yeah. No. I want to continue to learn how to be a well-adjusted adult. Work-life balance and all these elusive concepts that people tell me about. I want to learn how to actualize some semblance of them. You got the answer?
Not yet. Someday soon.
Not yet.
Someday soon.
Listen,
Working on it. Working on it.
You got to put the work in, all right? And eventually, even if I tell people I want to move, I'm not going to get the needle to perfect or anything. Maybe we could debate how close to perfect you could be, but I just want to move it just a little bit away from imperfect, a little further away, right? Every day. And if I could do that, or at least say I did my best to, it's a good day.
Yeah, I think that everyone strives for it. Yeah, everyone wants more of that work-life balance. But like I said, sometimes when the work is fun, it becomes all of a sudden then kind of a hobby because you do enjoy a lot of things that you do, in it, which, you got to take a step back and, again, look at yourself and work on yourself to say, hey, it's not really the hobby I should be doing because I'm doing it so many hours a day, and I need to go look and get more into this other hobby, that I enjoy doing. So, which for me obviously is hunting, fishing, things like that. So that's something I want to definitely get more into. As for us, our slow season's coming up. So when I say our slower season, it means like a lot of the trade shows are done, and a lot of our contractors are busy, working. They've sold jobs and they're busy building their jobs, right? So it's just like, I would say, our slower times in the summer than it is, in the winter or the traveling of the event type of season. So definitely gonna have more time coming up to do more of that, definitely focusing on more doing that. Got to.
I like it. Yeah, I think a lot of people that own a business struggle with that because, like you said, especially when you're building something great and you're having success, and now it's more of a hobby than work, and you never work a day in your life if you love what you do. Well, at what point do you take a look at it and it's like, well, okay, year 1, I've got to put in 15 hours a day because I got to wear all the hats. Year 2, I'm putting in 15 hours a day because I've gotten rid of some of the hats, but I really love what I do, so I'm doing a little bit more than I need to. Like, at what point do we say, okay, well, maybe we should dial it back a little bit, right? Maybe I should delegate a little bit more and spend more time with my family. Because in theory, I mean, we could be so consumed with work for the next 20 years, and then you get to a point where it's like, I don't understand why my family hates me. I've done this for them. And, I don't know. I can't imagine what that feels like, but I don't imagine that it would feel good. And I don't want to be in that situation. So I've been trying to be intentional about, okay, let's less screen time on the computer, phone devices, and work hard. And when we're not working, unplug a little bit. That's okay.
And I
Things
got
will
into
be
the
fine.
habit of comparing this hobby to some of my friends' hobbies. So one of my friends, he builds chairs and picnic tables. Like that's his hobby. So he works with wood and builds them, and then he resells them, to customers. And I'm like, well, okay, let me compare your hobby to what I enjoy to do. Like building a business is much similar to building a picnic table, right? You got to have the legs, right? So you have your employees and other things like that. So I'm always trying to compare, to try to be like, okay, I'm justifying why I enjoy doing this over what my other friends have for hobbies. So I need to get out of that mindset, definitely. Yeah.
It's easy to do, and that's the shittiest part about being a good salesperson is you're equally susceptible to selling yourself on a bad idea or just justifying something that isn't the optimal outcome for you. I did it during COVID. I hadn't drank in years, like 3.5 years, and I was like, you know what? I'm older now. I'm more mature. I'm in a way better headspace. I'll have a glass of wine. Dude, I drank for like fucking 6 months straight every day, right? And it went from a bottle of wine to a margarita to a bottle of Tito's every day, and it's like, okay. You couldn't have been more wrong. This is clearly just you closing yourself. So, good news. It's been like, 2.5, almost 3 years since I drank. Never going to drink again because I just know that it's not for me. I've always struggled with moderation. I'm not a moderate guy. Sorry. I'll tell you how I feel, and it's usually one way or the other. And
it's either all or nothing, right? It's all or nothing.
Yeah, unfortunately. So, working on that in therapy, too. This was great, dude. It was a long time coming, and I'm sorry that our schedules precluded us from linking up and doing this piece of content prior, but I'm sure there's more to come at some point in the near future. I had a lot of fun today, and I'm incredibly appreciative for y'all that are listening to this and for you, Travis.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes we got to get together and share road stories because I got a few of those as well. Being on the road with some of these knuckleheads, there's always some funny stories to share with going to some of these events. So we got to do the behind the curtain of on the road with some of these vendors because there's definitely some funny ones to share.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Please do tell.
Yeah.
We'll talk off air.
Right.
Peace.